just like Julius Caesar proposed, a change in beliefs potentially changes persons because the leaders change their skills and competencies first, developing people, then setting directions for our conversion, and influencing all stakeholders to move towards the same direction, redesigning a school setting as Polizzi and Frick conceive it. In this sense, contemporary school leadership encompasses an integrative vision, an ongoing process of preparation for leadership, as Polizzi and Frick 2012 say. And in their equation, when adding reflections on moral plus ethics plus ideological beliefs plus experience plus structured core reflexive practices, one can have competence to know oneself. So the authors point out to the gap between the novice teacher, who will later become a principal for the first time, and who by then is expected to be an experienced school leader facing new challenges. Therefore, there's a need of establishing reflexive practices that discuss moral, ethics, and ideological beliefs since earlier phases of professional development. So when he gets there, he'll be able to reflect on them. The gap would need a change in the framing of a reference in all leaders in order to make possible that transformative learning occurs. The same researchers propose an ongoing process based on the understanding of organization goals and beliefs under which the leader is able to lead. Considering that preparing for leadership is an ongoing process, here I'd like to shed some light in the relevance of experience enduring reflexive practices, appealing to Julius Caesar when he says that what we wish, we readily believe, and what we ourselves think, we imagine others think also. Experience is the teacher of all things. Research and practice tell us that it is due to large part to the strength of leaders' internal resources and, in particular, to their psychological leadership, resources that some leaders exercise transformational leadership. Effective leaders of transformative and sustainable improvement must not only possess internal resources, but also contribute to building and strengthening them in the others, including children and youth in the schools and districts where they are part of the change promotion. That's what Ontario states. But how is it possible? Well, in my mindset, the habit of questioning all that can offer room for improvement is an expected outcome of self-reflection. The role of reflection in full potential improvement has been reflexive practice for a while, for over 30 years in the field of education. And reflecting on classroom practices is nothing new, because in order to achieve full potential improvement, leaders in the field of education should start by knowing themselves. Now, on reflexive leadership, presently, it becomes more relevant when we acknowledge what Julius Caesar states. It is easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. So, in terms of reflexive leadership, in order to achieve personal full potential in the field of education, leaders seeking for that improvement should start by knowing themselves. And that is not achieved easily, because it's not just taking a training session, a workshop, or even a course to enhance one or other competence. Facing reflection is what Julius Caesar would consider enduring pain with patience, as it is an ongoing process. I would dare say endless, because improvement perspectives are also endless. For every individual and in any given organization, there is room of improvement. But according to Caesarian views, all bad precedents begin as justifiable measures. At managerial level, education practitioners are expected to make informed decisions by reflecting in them and making the expected calls on the spot. Yet, some of those calls may be bad calls that are strictly the expected measures being taken, but reflective integrational leaders feel confidence to endure any amendments that may become necessary once a bad call has been made. Zodiac Myers says that reflection on action as a concept that, unlike reflecting in action, is not just a matter of applying one's knowledge and experience. It is more like the Freudian perspective, when reflection on action implies that knowledge should be not reified, but continuously criticized and reflected upon from the perspective of ethics, respect, solidarity, and must inform all critical practices of pedagogical intervention. In fact, I believe that I may summarize this reflection by taking the risk implied in my role as a reflective educational practitioner. I will contradict the ancient Caesarian leadership beliefs in two aspects that cannot apply to present contemporary educational leadership. In the Roman emperor's view, it is better to suffer once than to be in perpetual apprehension. As a leader, he believed that. But I believe that about my professional development, I came to realize that, in fact, being able to produce solutions according to the problems posed when they occur may be more effective than thinking of one solved solution and never reflecting upon it and making the necessary calibration changes whenever needed, because the situation may occur again. The challenge of a reflexive leadership can be a tortuous way, but it can trigger personal improvement because it allows leaders to rethink their choices and evaluate their actions by extending the possibilities of opportunities within similar situations. I would like to say that I personally believe that good school leadership is a practice of those who are able to learn from and with students on a daily basis, even if learning implies in not making the same mistake again, but acknowledging that there was one. In my opinion, the incessant pain of taking research-informed risk is a major aspect of educational leadership. Practice is never closed or a final act. That's what Police and Frick say. I agree with those researchers because in educational practices, there are always continual processes of acting and responding according to reflections on the unfolding and transformational processes as part of the cooperative environment of any educational organization. The other Caesarian maxim I will exercise my reflection to contradict is greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. Some may say that Caesar was referring to the leader's inner self. I would interpret it as in a more proactive way, that a school leader should look in the minor, almost unnoticeable aspects of his organization, like providing an excellent environment for teachers when they get to the school, or even investing time in remembering all students by their names and all third-part collaborators' names, because changes are multidimensional and there are so many details that may make a difference on everyday's team. I also dare to unquote Caesar in transformational leadership, because I think the die is never cast. For leader is in charge of re-signifying events and implementing the necessary changes always. All the pictures were from Creative Commons. I appreciate you listening to me on reflecting and achieving personal full potential improvement in education. Thank you.